Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater. I've got something really cool for you to check out today. This is the new Revelator USB microphone from PreSonus. It's a mic that's designed for podcasting, broadcasting, live streaming, and of course just recording as well. It's a multi-purpose microphone that does a lot, and when you connect it to your computer and run the Revelator app, you get even more power. Now we're going to take a complete tour here, and basically I'm going to approach this as if I'm doing a podcast using this microphone. We'll be going through some of the features, and we'll even be doing a Zoom interview a little bit later. So let's check this out. The Revelator is a condenser microphone, connects to your computer or device by USB, and it offers a lot of functionality, but the cool thing about it is that you can use just the microphone itself. You don't have to have it connected to the app, and you still get access to a bunch of the different features. Now, some of those features include the fact that there are 4 presets on board the Revelator, and you can set these up so that one gives you a broadcast kind of a sound. One might be special effects. Well, here, let me show you. We've got a preset button right on the front. So right now, I'm in the broadcast preset. If I push again, I'm in what's called the AM radio preset. If I push again, we've got a screamer, which is a special effects preset. Push again, and I've got a delay preset. Now we can let me go back to the broadcast. Now we can modify those presets. We can set up all kinds of different things. We can change the EQ. We can work on the compression. But again, right out of the box, you just plug it in, and you've got 4 presets available, no apps required. In addition, we can completely bypass the onboard presets. That takes all the DSP processing out of the microphone. So we just press and hold. The light goes off. And now we're just hearing the raw microphone. It's just going straight to USB, and we're recording it straight to the computer. If I push again, the preset becomes activated. Now, in addition, we can control the other functions of the microphone. So we have a monitor switch here. When this monitor switch is dimmed, the volume control controls the headphone level, which is what I'm listening to and what you're hearing as well. If we push that once, now this control is changing the pan of the signal left and right. If we push and hold, now we can access the gain or the level of the microphone itself going into the computer. So we have control over all 3 of those. We can also push the volume control. And you can hear me because that actually mutes the microphone when you push that button. You can set that in the app to either mute the microphone itself or to mute the monitor feed. So you have your choice either way. So all that is right inside the microphone itself, and you can access it right from the front of the microphone. Very convenient, super easy. You don't have to dig in too deep. You don't have to make any settings. Just select what you want, and you're ready to go. And I like that. This is basically a plug-and-play solution. If you just want to sit down, capture a podcast, capture a musical passage, if you want to do a live stream, you can do it very quickly. Now, the next level up is to open up the Revelator app inside your computer. I've got running here in my MacBook Pro. Now, the Revelator app gives us access to a wide variety of parameters. It also has a mixer that allows us to combine multiple signals together. So let's take a quick tour here. Down here on the lower left of the screen, we've got our controls for the microphone. And again, we were talking about those earlier. We've got mic gain, we've got our level here, we've got pan, and we can see our meter. We can also mute. So all that can be controlled from within the app as well. Next to the microphone controls in the center of the bottom of the screen, we've got a 3-channel mixer. It's actually 3 stereo channels. And this allows you to bring in signals from other apps running inside your computer and blend them in with what's coming from the microphone. So let me give you an example. First, I've got playback here. And what I've got connected there is iTunes. So if you're starting your podcast, you could fade in the music. Bring it back down to introduce your podcast. You can mute that. So you have control over that playback. So let's stop that here. We also have 2 loopback inputs. Now, these are also stereo inputs. Later on, we'll be using loopback 2 to bring the audio in from a Zoom interview. Right now, I have loopback 1 set up with PreSonus's Studio One DAW, which you can see here. Now, one thing I've got going on inside this DAW is I've got Impact loaded up, and Impact is a little sample player. And so I've got sounds that are on these pads, and I'm controlling it from the Atom controller here. So when I hit a pad, all that's feeding into the mixer inside the Revelator. So let me play a long loop here. You can see that's coming in on loopback 1. And again, we can set the volume level for that. We can mute it if we want to. So we could blend sound effects, for example. You might have some other playback stream going on here. Maybe what you have is a backing track and you're going to play guitar or sing along with it. You can bring that in through loopback. And it's as easy as setting the output inside your app to match up with this loopback. A couple of clicks and you've got audio feeding into the Revelator app. Very cool. On the right bottom of the screen, we have 4 different output mixes. Now, this allows us to set up 4 separate headphone and main output mixes, so if we're doing an interview, someone else could be listening on a separate headphone feed and be getting everything that we're doing inside Revelator. And that's what I've got set up here, actually. So phones is what I'm listening to and what you're hearing. I'm capturing it back into Studio One, and you're hearing it in this video. That's the main mix here that we're listening to. Now, we can also set up Loopback 2, which I've got down here at the bottom. This particular mix is set up to feed into Zoom. So when I'm doing my interview later, Rick Nackvey, who I'll be interviewing, will be able to hear everything that's happening inside Revelator. So if I play a sound effect, he'll be able to hear that. If I play back music from iTunes, he'll be able to hear that. He'll be able to hear me, and I'll be able to hear him. But we have a separate control, so I can create a separate mix for him if I want to. In this case, I've actually got it linked to my headphone mix, so he's hearing the same thing that I am. It's a very cool feature. And again, very easy to use. Just choose the mix you're working on, dial it in, and forget about it. It's good to go. The final thing we have here on the bottom is our master output. This is our master volume control. We can set our headphone level here. We can set stereo or mono. We can do the panning up here. So again, very simple controls. Now, the cool thing is that we have a lot of control over the sound of the microphone from right here as well. So this is where we select our presets. We saw the broadcast preset earlier. I did the screamer preset, the delay preset, back to broadcast. I can select those from the microphone, broadcast, AM radio, screamer, slap echo. We also have a hotkey. So in this case, I've got a special effect loaded here. When I click that inside the app, it turns on the effect and gives us the special sounds or whatever effects we might be listening to. Click it again, and we're back to our broadcast setting. Now we can choose the presets that are assigned. Very easy to do. We can name them up here. We can scroll through them using the wheel. And this is how we change the presets that are assigned to the microphone. Now, when you do that, those are actually loaded into the microphone. So if you disconnect the microphone, connect it to a computer without running the app, those presets will still be loaded. The presets comprise a bunch of different settings. First of all, we've got the fat channel. The amazing thing is that PreSonus has these StudioLive mixers, which are really high-end digital mixers that are great for PA systems, house of worship, recording studios, and so on. They've actually taken the power of that mixer and put it inside the Revelator microphone and given you what they call the fat channel. This has all the processing power you need to dial in exactly the sound you want from the microphone. So we've got a high-pass filter, and we can set 3 different frequencies for that. We've got a gate, and again, we have different settings here for that we can quickly dial up. Compressor, EQ. What's happening when I click on those and the light goes off, it means I bypass that particular effect. So we can choose the different types there: vintage, mid-boost, bass boost. So you can change the sound pretty dramatically just by choosing the proper EQ. We've got a limiter for setting a maximum volume level. And then we have our special effects as well, so I could add distortion. That's what this would sound like. We've also got delay. We've got pitching. We've got reflections, VOG, the big huge sound in the echo, robot voices, ring modulation, and what they call V-code. So we've got a lot of different choices there for modifying the sound coming from the microphone, but they're so easy to choose. You just have a couple parameters. You basically choose a compressor and choose how much compression you want. Super easy to dial in. We also have a reverb we can add in. So we can bring that up, and we'll hear a little bit more of the room sound on the voice. We can control the return from that here, but I usually just set it up to the center there, and we're good to go. So this dials the amount that's feeding into the reverb. We can set the size of the room. We can also just choose small, medium, or large. Let's choose medium there, bring that down a little bit. We have a high-pass filter for taking some of the bass out. Pre-delay will sometimes help with intelligibility. It delays the onset of the reverb a little bit and can make it a little bit clearer when you're listening. Let's go ahead and turn that back off. So it's all super easy to use. You just have a couple parameters, basically a small, medium, and large amount that you're adding in of each of these different effects or different settings, so it's super easy to set up. But you can dig in deep if you want to. Click the 3 dots, and now we have all the parameters available. So we've got the high-pass filter. We've got the gate here with all its settings. We've got the compressor with all its settings. We can look at the EQ with all its settings, the limiter, and the voice effects. And so you can access everything that you need to really completely dial in the sound that you want to. But in most cases, I don't think you'll ever need to even access all these because the presets are set up in such a way that you can easily dial things in, make it sound the way you want, and then you're pretty much good to go. If you want to dig in deep, if you want to get really tweaky about it, awesome, you can certainly do so, but you don't have to. So the mic is set up so that it can be super easy to use, or you can take a deep dive if you want to. And I really like that about it. It's kind of a 3-level thing, and it means that you can be instantly ready to go, or you can really dial things in. Very cool feature. Now we have a couple other settings in the app. We can basically reset everything. And there are 3 polar patterns with this microphone. What you're hearing now is what's called a cardioid polar pattern. That's basically a heart-shaped polar pattern. It means it's picking up from the front, but it's not picking up from the back. If you're doing a 2-person interview, you can set this to figure 8, which means it picks up in the front, picks up in the back. So if you're sitting across the tables from someone, that's a great solution. And you can also set it to Omni, which means it picks up in all directions equally. And that'd be great if I had 3 or 4 people around the table with me here. We'd all be coming in through the same microphone. So you have your choice there. But in most cases, if you're operating alone, if you're doing a podcast, you're going to set that to Cardioid. You can also choose whether all those effects and things that you're adding are just being monitored or if they're actually being recorded. You can choose how the presets are displayed, 4, 2, or 1. If you want to leave things just locked into one, you can. And this is where you set that mute button, whether it controls the monitor mix or the microphone itself. So some simple settings there as well. And again, those are going to be set it and forget it kind of things. You may never even need to access those. One other nice feature is that down here at the bottom, you can name the different channels. So if we double click, we can change the name of the channel to whatever we like. If you're doing a podcast that has a few more ins and outs, as I'm doing here, this makes it very easy to keep track of what you're doing. Now, as I mentioned, we're going to do an interview here as part of this demo. So what I have set up is I've got Zoom going on my computer. We've got Rick Nakvi, who's the Senior Vice President of Global Sales for PreSonus. He's going to be joining us. And what's happening is everything is feeding into this Loopback 2 from Zoom. So we'll be able to hear Rick coming back through Zoom. He'll be able to hear us because I've set up the Loopback 2 mix here. And so the two of us can converse just like we're on Zoom, but it can all be going through the Revelator app. We can record it all, and it can all go out through the headphones. Super easy to do. Let's bring Rick in. So we're pleased to welcome to the show our old friend Rick Nakvi, SVP, Senior Vice President of Global Sales. Glad to have you here.
Great to be here.
So this is really cool. I've got this set up with your help, and we've been kind of working through this to be able to do a Zoom interview just like you do it in a podcast. And we're using the multiple mixers inside the Revelator app to be able to, so you can hear everything that's going on this end. I can hear everything that's going on your end. I'm recording back into Studio One, so I have a stereo capture of everything we're doing. I can play the sound effects. You can hear them. I can play background music. You can hear them. This is really a cool rig.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty powerful what you can do with it. And it's just, pretty much everything you need self-contained to do a proper podcast or interview or, live stream.
Right. So tell us a little bit about the Revelator. Where did the idea come from and the process you guys went through to develop it?
So really, there's a ton of USB microphones on the market. And when PreSonus decided we wanted to make a USB microphone, we didn't just want to have a mic and put a USB output on it. And because one of the problems with microphones in general is that, to really get that radio kind of sound, you need a lot more than just a flat microphone, going into an audio interface. Any of the big podcast guys, the Joe Rogans and these guys, I mean, they're using, proper EQ, compression, all of this processing to get that sound. So essentially, we have a lot of this processing already built into our digital mixers. So we wanted to basically put the same DSP chip that you find on our digital mixers into the Revelator microphone and then create these great presets. So just out of the box, you could get that radio sound without a whole lot of effort. So that was problem number one to be solved. Problem number two is the fact that, in today's kind of digital world where, you're wanting to do a podcast, but you want to be able to bring in multiple sources from a digital, standpoint, as far as maybe you want to play some music from YouTube, or maybe you want to take an interview like we're doing right now through Zoom or Skype or any other, kind of platform like that. Having the ability to be able to basically digitally mix those levels to where they're right for the stream itself is really important. And so, we essentially put a digital mixer into the Revelator that allows you to do that automatically. So that was sort of the second problem we wanted to solve. And then, the third, kind of thing is just to make it actually simple to use.
Right.
So, just straight out of the box, you don't have to load any software if you don't want to. You can plug it in, it's class compliant, it'll show up on your computer, you can use it, and you can even use the presets straight off the bat. So it really is easy, but as you get more into it and you want to, explore, it's extremely powerful. So we're really excited about it.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I think makes it so wonderful, because as you learn about audio, as you get deeper into it, you can really start to delve in. And we were looking at that a little bit when I was doing more of the demo of the microphone, but being able to start kind of on the surface, if you will, just plug it in and use it. You can even bypass all the DSP if you want, just to hold the button in and it bypasses everything. But then you can add those presets in, you can add the effects in, and dig even deeper to all the parameters on the fat channel that's inside there, the reverb and everything. It really does give you a ton of power, but you don't have to use it. And I love that, because there are certain situations, even for myself, I mean, I've worked with audio for many years and I know all the parameters and everything, but there are situations where I just want to plug in.
That's right.
I don't want to have to make a bunch of settings and things. And so having the presets, I just put it on the broadcast setting and I'm ready to go, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's
Very,
really
very cool.
quick and easy.
Right. So do you see this more for a home podcast person? Is this aimed at a commercial podcast? Is it all the above? Or?
It's an interesting product because I think our goal was to make that home podcaster be able to sound like that professional broadcaster. So that's why we put all of the power of the signal processing into it. So I think it'll be a great product for anybody like that. But I mean, I also think it'll be great for the tons of musicians out there that want to just be able to perform live on the internet, as a live stream straight to YouTube Live or Facebook Live, be able to perform along with some backing tracks, maybe from Studio One or whatever DAW, and have an acoustic guitar that you can basically, and your mic, basically to be able to play along like that. And it just really, there's a ton of different uses for it. But we really wanted to make it very, very simple and very, very powerful at the same time.
Right, right. And you've included the extras along with it, Studio One Artist and the bundle of plugins and instruments and things. So you really are ready to go out of the box. But again, the beauty of it is plug the USB cable in and you're going.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
So, even for just like the typical person that just wants to be able to do a Zoom call for work or something like that, for office or for, distance learning, which is, obviously a big thing right now. You don't have to have any extra software. You can just plug it in. It'll be recognized, but you'll still have the ability to, mute the microphone straight from the microphone. If you need to mute, you can turn the level up and down and you can flip through those presets.
Right, right. You guys clearly thought of it all, whether it's just working with the microphone or all the loopback functions and everything that are in the app. It goes deep, but it's also super easy to use. That's very cool.
Awesome.
Right.
Glad you like it.
Absolutely. Rick, thanks so much for joining us. I know you're a busy guy. You got lots going on. It's the day after your birthday. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
And we're glad to have you here with us today.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
I'd like to thank Rick Knockvey for taking time out of his very busy schedule there at PreSonus to tell us a little bit more about the Revelator microphone. I've been really impressed with this. It's so easy. You just plug it in and it works, but if you want to go deep, you really can, and it allows you to bring together multiple signals, and that's something that's so useful when you're doing a podcast. You just have to have a way that you can add sound effects, background music, interviews, all those kind of things, and having it all inside one simple app makes it super cool. Thanks for joining me today. Hope you've enjoyed this podcast-style demo of what's happening with the Revelator microphone from PreSonus. You definitely want to check this out. It's a great-sounding microphone, offers a ton of features, comes in at a great price, and I think you're going to find it really useful for your podcast, your streaming, broadcasting, and for recording. I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Click here for more videos like this, or start at sweetwater.com for all your music instrument and pro audio needs.